Hey there, fellow entrepreneurs. I'm Sue, and you've just stepped into Entrepreneurs Gone Wild. Every week, I'll introduce you to a friend of mine, a remarkable entrepreneur who's not just changing the world, but also harnessing a secret weapon, time outdoors. Together, we'll dive into their journey, unpack invaluable business advice, and discover why embracing the wild is not just good for the soul, but also a goldmine for inspiration and innovation. Ready to uncover the secret that's boosting bottom lines and fueling joy? Hit subscribe and join us in the wild. Alrighty, welcome back, guys. I'm so excited at Entrepreneurs Gone Wild. We have the one and only Peter Shankman with us today. The list of things this guy has done that are so incredible is longer than my arm. We're going to try to go everywhere on this. It's kind of a good thing he's got ADHD as well, so you can keep up, right? So I'm delighted. He's done something very cool in the past called Help a Reporter Out. I've used it countless times to help clients get a little coverage in the media for their business. That he sold, and I thought it was gone. It's not gone apparently, but it's kind of Now he's got something brand new. I had the name wrong. It's now switched, and now it's SOS, a source of sources. Source of sources, is that it? So, I'm gonna have to verify that one. Yes. So we got a little tongue twister. That's fantastic though, because it's very memorable. He's done very, very cool things. I can't wait for you to hear how he's written some books and what he does to do his best thinking outdoors. Very, very cool guy. I'm amazed we've got him here. This is so cool. So go ahead and you can put questions in the chat if you like, but we're going to get going and just, Peter, welcome so much. I'm so delighted to have you at Entrepreneurs Gone Wild. Let's just dive in. I would love to hear, how did you become an entrepreneur? Were you born this way? What happened?
No, not in the slightest. Both my parents were public school teachers. I had not an entrepreneurial bone in my body. Although, I mean, looking back on it, I probably did things that would have been today looked upon as entrepreneurial. When I did them, they were looked upon as me getting in trouble. I thought it would be fun one year to start a lottery in my high school English class. And so I started a lottery in my high school English class and was told that wasn't allowed. So yeah, did a lot of, probably did some entrepreneurial things, but it really was not my wheelhouse. I thought, you get out of college, you get a degree, you get a job. And that's what I did. I graduated at Boston University. I was in graduate school for fashion and portrait photography. And with 18 credits to go, I lost my financial aid. And the government sent me a letter that said, your parents make too much money. We're taking away your financial aid. And I sent the government back a letter to my parents, do you make too much money? They keep it. And
I'm not getting it.
The government didn't find that funny. So I moved back to New York City, where I was born and raised. And I was hanging out, this is the mid 90s. I was hanging out in something called the Melrose Place TV gossip chat room on America Online. And someone in that chat room said, hey, my company's trying to build a newsroom. Why don't you submit your resume? I go, sure, I have absolutely no experience. This will be great. And I was hired 2 weeks later and being moved to Virginia as one of the founding editors of AOL News.
Oh my gosh.
Back when AOL was the internet. So it was an amazing experience, had a great time. About 3 years later, they hired someone to be their COO, and the first thing he did was kill 80% of the content team. So 8 a.m. we had a job, 10 a.m. we're in the parking lot going, what the fuck was that?
What happened?
So that was funny. But it was, so I moved back to New York, and I didn't know I was ADHD or even remotely neurodiverse. I just thought I was weird. And so I moved back to New York, and I realized, well, AOL was a really cool job. They let me do whatever I wanted and work the way I wanted as long as I got everything done. So I'm sure every company's like that. And I was sadly mistaken. My next job, I got hired almost immediately as an editor, associate editor at a magazine. And I remember I walked in on Monday morning, we had 8 a.m. meetings, 8:30 a.m. conference calls, 9 a.m. editor meetings, 10:30 a.m. I'm like, this is Russia. And I quit. And I said, okay, there's gotta be a better way to do this. I said, everything about social, not even social, but the internet at the time. And I'm like, there's gotta be something that I can do with that. And I launched a PR firm with no idea how to launch a PR firm. I thought it might be fun to launch a PR firm, which I did. And we had clients such as Napster, Juno, AOL, ridiculous companies who during the dot-com boom, very much wanted to have us help them. And so I built the agency up with about 15 employees. It's pretty amazing. And I saw the writing on the wall, and I knew that the dot-com boom was going to burst because it wasn't anywhere near, as good as people were saying it was. It just couldn't survive. And so I sold the clients and the staff to a larger agency in 2001. And my goal was to walk away and take a year off. And I booked a flight to Asia, and I went to Asia and I hung out. About 3 weeks later, I called my mother from Tokyo, Narita Airport. I said, I'm coming home. And she goes, you're supposed to go and hang out around Asia a year. Why are you coming home? I'm like, you never taught me how to relax. And I slammed down the phone. And I came home and just started consulting. And I was consulting for several years. I launched a company that connected people on airplanes with potential seatmates, like a dating service in the sky. Built that. That was acquired by a VC fund. I kept consulting. I was and basically traveling constantly for work, consulting and speaking and all that. I wound up just creating a ridiculously large Rolodex. And people would ask me all the time, reporters would ask me, hey, I'm doing a story on whatever, everyone, who do you know? And it started taking way too much of my time to find people. I'm like, maybe there's a business here. And that was the launch of Help a Reporter Out, or HARO, in 2007. Built it up to about 100,000 members, something like that, 150,000 members. It was acquired 3 years later by a company called Vocus. Now they're Cision/Beer Newswire. Cision has done things with HARO. I don't own it anymore, so they can do whatever they want with it, really.
True.
I've done a bunch of other stuff. I also run a company called Mental Capital. We are a consulting firm that helps companies, big and small, attract, hire, and retain neurodiverse employees. I've written a New York Times bestseller called Faster Than Normal, which is, I've written 6 books, but Faster Than Normal is the adult version, my ADHD story, and how it's a benefit, not a curse, when I finally got diagnosed. Followed that up with a children's book called The Boy with the Faster Brain. My goal is to help kids not feel as broken as I did for the first 30 years of their lives, and make it easier for them to realize they're gifted, as opposed to having to go through 30 years of therapy to figure that out. So that's sort of my goal. And then, about, 2 months ago or so, a lot of people started emailing me and saying, hey, they're changing the company that you sold HARO to, they're changing it, they're making it different, they're making it, it's not cool anymore, it doesn't work, whatever. I'm like, well, it's a shame, but you can't go home again. And people kept saying, why not? And please go home. And
go home, Peter, go home.
Exactly. And I was used to hearing that all my life, but not in this capacity. So, finally I'm just like, all right, why not? And so I built something called Source of Sources, or SOS, and launched it about a month or so ago. And we're at about 20,000 members right now. Close to 1,000 queries, I guess, have gone out already. And it's basically, it's just helping journalists find the sources they need, but we're doing it a little differently. I'm doing it this time with verified queries. So the journalists, we're implementing this, should be in a few weeks. The journalists will be able to attach their muckrack journalist profiles, which basically tell you, hey, this person is a real person writing for this outlet, as opposed to this is Joe in his mother's basement with a blog. So I like to think it's good. I'm having fun with it. The goal is to, like I said, build something great and help people, which is pretty much the goal of everything I do, is to help people. And that's sort of the benefit of ADHD. When you're ADHD, you tend to want to help people because you know what it's like to be labeled as unhelpable.
Yeah. And stuck and all that. Yeah, that's amazing. All right, let's circle back a little bit. Growing up, so you said you kind of felt like you were broken. Did you develop some, like a lot of us that have, some neurodivergent processing, we come up with ways that we can pass as normal. Did you have that as well?
Yeah, all the things I've done in my life were really designed to not so much to be normal. I never really gave a shit about what other people thought.
Yeah.
Or at least I tried not to. As I get older, I find it's a lot easier to not care. I care what my daughter thinks, I care what my parents think, and my girlfriend, and that's about it. But I think one of the big things that happened, and the big things I learned, I just realized my dog's been way too quiet.
My Gotta wonder then.
Over the past waffle. He's been way too quiet over the past 30 minutes. I'm just gonna go open the door, make sure he didn't run.
Go for it.
But yeah, that I just realized that. I'm like, where's my dog? Idiot. Back in my bedroom. Okay.
He's just chilling, huh?
He's not a very smart dog. I love you, Waffle, but you're not a very smart dog. You're not. You just go sit over there. Come on, up. So what was the question? So I put things together that allow me to run my life the way I want to. And some of those things seem really weird to other people, but I don't care. I'm up at 4 a.m. I sleep in a pair of gym clothes. I sleep in a pair of gym shorts or bike shorts and a shirt. And I get up at 4 a.m. because it allows me to exercise before my daughter wakes up. If I can exercise before my daughter wakes up, I'm a better person because I've got the dopamine, the serotonin, and the adrenaline I need that you don't normally get, or that you get less of when you're ADHD. So I was on the bike by 4:30 this morning and it worked out for an hour and it's perfect. I have two sides to my closet. Literally, they're labeled. They say office/travel and it's a t-shirt and jeans. Or they say speaking/TV and it's button-down shirt, jacket, and jeans. Because if I had, my sweaters, my vests, my suits, I have these gorgeous suits for Italy and they're all in my daughter's closet because if I had to wake up every morning and see my entire wardrobe and be like, oh, what should I wear? Oh, look at that. That sweater. Oh my God, I remember that sweater. Laura gave me that sweater. I wonder how she's doing. I should look her up. It's 3 hours later. I'm naked in the living room on Facebook and I haven't left the house. So
I feel so seen.
you put together ways that work for you, right? Same thing with, when I was writing one of my books, I had a year to write it. I did all the research the very first month and then immediately forgot about it for like 10 and a half months. And the reporter called, or the publisher called me. She's like, hey, 2 weeks left. How you doing? I'm like, oh, great. Yeah, no problem. Hadn't written a word. And so I hung up the phone and I booked a flight to Asia, leaving the next day. And I booked a flight to Tokyo and I went to the airport with my laptop, a power cord, a sweater or sweatshirt, and my headphones. And I wrote chapters 1 through 5 on the flight out. And I landed, went to the lounge, had a coffee and a piece of sushi, took a shower, got back on the same plane, same seat 3 hours later, and wrote chapters 6 through 10. And I landed 28 hours after I took off with a book. And then I got held by Homeland for 6 hours because I never actually cleared immigration on the Tokyo side.
Yeah.
They called my publisher and had to confirm that I in fact did this.
We would have preferred the publisher not to realize.
Well, the publisher, said, yeah, he wrote the book. And then said, can I speak to him? And they take him to the chair and they gave me the phone. She's like, so when you said you were done, I'm like, well, I'm done now. So yeah, that was fun. But at the end of the day, I figured that if I could do things that make me enough money to survive, feed my kid, feed my dog, have a place to live, and help people, then that's enough. I'm good.
That is amazing. All right, now 6 books in, is that right?
Correct. 5 adults and 1 kid.
That's a lot. What is your favorite thing to do? I mean, that's probably like, is your right arm or your left arm your favorite? But you do a lot of things. You're speaking, you're consulting, you're SOSing, you're writing. What's your real jam?
I think anything that stimulates me, anything that I can have fun with, anything that I enjoy doing. That for me, that could be anything. Speaking on a stage is one of my highlights, is one of my favorite things in the world. I love going in and helping people make things better. I love speaking to kids. I love speaking to colleges. I'm speaking to a school this Friday, upstate, and not upstate, like Long Island or whatever. When you live in New York City, that's pretty much upstate.
That's upstate.
The goal is, like I said, just to help people understand that they're not different. Or they're not broken, they're just gifted. They're different, and that's cool. So that is the goal, really. Just to have fun.
That's so cool. I love the definition of entrepreneurs that I've heard, that I love, that I've adopted, is we take ownership of a problem we didn't cause, and we find a solution and we serve people like all in, serving them with that. You've been able to do this with a few different things. Are you almost like searching for problems? Do they seem to find you? Like the things that kind of touch you enough to ignite that, like, oh, wait, I could solve this. I could fix this. I can help somebody with that. How does that process work in your brain?
I think for me, I figure out, okay, is there something, basically am I doing something? Am I using a product? Am I using something that I think could be done better?
Mm.
And if I do, how can I do that? How can I make that better? Right. And then from there, I sort of just figured out, okay, is this something worth pursuing? And I've done a bunch of things that are not worth pursuing, right? And you know, you learn that quick enough. But at the end of the day, it's just about what can I do that helps people and maybe solves a problem. You know, I think that the problem is the world is littered. The highway of entrepreneurship is littered with ideas that never really get off the ground because people were afraid that they wouldn't work. And I've always been the opinion that I'm going to try it. If it works, great. If it doesn't work, I'll try something else. When I was at AOL, we had a great rule. We had never done a digital newsroom before. It didn't exist.
Yeah.
So it became very simple. Try it. If it works, do it again. If it doesn't work, don't do it again. Change it and do it another way.
Yeah.
Literally that simple.
It can be hard to tell sometimes when you're doing something for the very first time, AOL newsroom, hello. Like, okay, what can work? Like, how do we know this is working? Is it, you know, like we've set some benchmarks. Is that even in the realm of what we ought to be looking at and all that kind of thing? How quickly are you able now to tell, you know, okay, this is going exactly, yes, I should stick with this, or, oh, this is fun, but probably not going to continue with it?
I think, you know, you learn pretty quickly. It's the problem is, you know, a lot of times you get so what they call sunken cost fallacy, right? Where it's like, oh, well, I put so much into this, let me just put a little more into it. You gotta know when to walk away. But on the flip side, you can't just walk away because it's hard, right? That's not the solution. But you have to know when there is a cutoff point. It's sort of like the when NASA was sending people to the moon in the 60s, they had the point of no return, where it was a failsafe. If you got that far, it would take more fuel to get you back than it would just slingshot you around the moon and come home. So it's sort of the same thing. You have to know when your cutoff point is. That's
really, I like that. I've never heard somebody give that analogy. That's pretty cool. Yeah, that's awesome. So, all right. So SOS, how's this gonna, like, have you built it more for the reporters, more for the sources? Is it, I mean, I would think it's both, but
I built it to connect the two. I built it to connect the two. The goal is to find a place where journalists are having to do their job 5 times with 5 times less. They have to do 10 times more with 5 times less. If I can help them, that's a win. If I can help small businesses, entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, people like that just starting out to get free media attention as well, then that's a win for both parties. Why not? So yeah, sources.com is the website, and it's growing. It's nice to see.
That's so cool. Can I ask, how is that monetized?
There's a small little text ad at the top of each email. That's it.
Wow, that's so cool. What's your goal long term for it?
I don't know. I guess just to keep doing this and keep helping people, and if another company decides that they want to have it, maybe that's an option, or maybe I'll just keep doing it. But either way, I enjoy it, and it's like I said, one of the many things that I'm doing.
Yeah, exactly. It's not like this is it. This is the only baby I've got. Now, I know a lot of people who've had an exit, they kind of almost have like an existential experience after that. And it's like, oh, you know, now what do I do? I've been so used to just working on this thing. And now all of a sudden I wake up and it's like, I got a lot of money from it, but, you know, have you ever had any adjustment period after you've had an exit?
The thing is that you live in New York City. If I lived in like Bangkok, yeah, I wouldn't have to do anything. This is New York. My daughter goes to school here.
So you got to work forever.
Waking up costs you no less than $600 a day.
Ooh, you're right.
So, you know, there's always work to be done. And I'm not really going anywhere. She's 11. My parents are in their mid 80s. They live 3 blocks from me. So I'm here. You know, it's not like I just pick up and go move to Vietnam. So for now, you know, I'm fortunate that I have a decent life that I built for myself, but I'm just continuing to do what I can do.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. What's your daily life look like? I love that you have the closet separation. I mean, this is brilliant. It's like, okay, no decisions needed really, except for, am I speaking on stage or am I doing other stuff? Well, what's the rest of your day look like? You're up at 4:30 riding the Peloton. After that, what happens?
So I get off the Peloton, I get to take a shower. I have about a half an hour before my daughter wakes up to do whatever. I have a cup of coffee, review my emails, whatever. She wakes up I get her up around 6:20, get her breakfast, get her to school. Once she's done with school, most of the 3 or 4 days a week, I'll go to the boxing gym for about an hour. So I drop her off at like 8 o'clock, and then I'm at the gym by like 8:20. I box. I have a trainer there. I box with him for about an hour. Those are my 2 workouts of the day. Come back, usually about like 9:15, 9:30, back to my office or / apartment, working until about 2:30, at which point I go get my daughter and I either bring her to after school. So she has performing arts, she has this or that or whatever. While she's in that, I do some more work. When she's done, we go home. We usually make dinner together. I do homework. She does homework. I do a little more work, and then I'm done. She's done. We have dinner, and then we chill out. We watch TV or work on some of her school projects, or we what are we currently doing? We're currently doing trivia about space. She's very into space, so that's kind of cool. I was on the NASA Civilian Advisory Council for several years, so I have a bunch of
That's incredible. Wait. How did that happen?
Long story short, I had a cat named NASA. Someone found that out, asked me why. I said, I love space. I'm just not smart enough to be an astronaut. And they introduced me to someone. Next thing I know, I'm being appointed by Admiral Chairman Bolton Director Bolton of NASA, who was appointed by Obama. And I wound up going down to see some launches, and I met the Mars rover before it had its arms. It's pretty cool stuff.
Oh my gosh, does this kind of thing happen to you a lot?
I wouldn't say it happens. I'd say that I'm a big believer. What Abraham Lincoln said. Abraham Lincoln said that he's a big believer in good fortune, but he finds the harder he works, the more of it he has.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of take that.
I think that sounds about right then. That's amazing. All right, now, you're doing twofers for workouts every day. Is this every day? What the heck?
No, about 4 or 5 days a week. I try to do at least 1 or 2. I take a couple of days off. Usually I take like a Sunday off or Saturday off, and I like to be active with it. It's just, keeps my brain going.
That's really cool. All right, now the entrepreneurial world is filled with people. There are many people saying just hustle, work your face off, work. I feel like neurodivergence kind of can fuel that because we can do it. Have you had that experience and like kind of working yourself until you're exhausted? If so, like how have you kind of put boundaries around? Because you have a balanced day, it seems. It's very busy. There's a lot of things in there, but it doesn't seem like you're just, glued to a screen all day or anything like that.
One of the things that I've realized is that you have to have the ability to know when to take time and just be yourself. Because, there are these, I call them entrepreneurial TikTokers, right? Their entrepreneurial life is going on TikTok and talking about being an entrepreneur. The problem I have with it, they're all, you got to work 18 hours. They get a full-time job. You come home and you work 6 hours and sleep 2, and it's a recipe to kill yourself.
It is.
If you're not taking care of yourself first, nothing else you do is going to succeed at all. And I see people, going out of their way to just hustle, live your life.
Yeah.
Right? Have a life, do well, and enjoy the time. Work hard, work really, really hard, but enjoy the time you're not working.
Kind of the work hard, play hard model.
Not enough people do that.
Yeah, it definitely. And I think sometimes that goes in seasons, but I think it's also possible to build that into your daily life as well. I know a lot of people, it's kind of like, well, I'll do that after, I'll build in some balance after and then whatever, fill in the blank, or, I'll spend time outside after whatever. You've managed to do this really well. And I'm wondering, I know for me, if I'm outside, that's where I'm getting my best thoughts, all this kind of thing. It fuels me like, all right, I'm stuck on a writing project. I'm going to go dig a hole or mow a lawn or something like this. You've done things like, I believe you run, is it ultra marathon or
Ironman triathlon?
Ironman.
And again, that was about 10, 12, 15 years ago when I wasn't, I've had 2 foot surgeries since that. I've been diagnosed by my doctor with a very scientific term of the reason my foot keeps hurting is because I have something called 20 years of distance running as a fat ass. So yeah, I'm not so much of a runner anymore, but I still go out for the occasional jog, but primarily for me, exercise now is boxing, getting on the bike, lifting weights, or even just doing an hour of Beat Saber or just dance on my VR. Anything to get the blood flowing and the dopamine moving is key, and that's my goal.
That's huge. Do you find, like, do you get that flood of ideas when you're doing anything physical like that, and especially outside?
I keep so on my phone, I have a recorder for when I am running or I'm cycling or I'm doing whatever, and I come up with ideas and I just write them down. And of course, I'm usually doing something physical, so it's usually like I can't understand what I've said when I put them into the voice. You know, it's like, do the thing with pace. No. But yeah, I mean, most of my best ideas have come either on the bike, or they also come after I land after a skydive. So I have over 500 jumps, and I am a big believer that you don't get any more pure dopamine, serotonin, and adrenaline than in the world than when you do after you jump out of the plane.
I would imagine. I know the first time where I mean, 500, you probably, are you still a little scared when you do it, or?
I'm scared every time. The day I'm not scared is a problem. The day I'm not scared, you have to ask yourself, what's wrong here?
Right. You're jumping out of a very high thing. You should have a little bit of a...
Exactly.
Wow. Do you think that fear also builds into, I mean, there's the dopamine, of course, the fear, like what impact does having that fear have on your whole experience?
It lets you know you're alive. I mean, for me, jumping out of a plane is wonderful, because there's never a time in my life where my decisions are as limited. Right now I have a billion options. Play with the dog, I can take a nap, I can go out for a cup of coffee, I can get a sandwich, I can go for a run, I can go to the bike, I can talk to you, I can hang up on you. After I leave the plane, I have two options. I can open the parachute or not open the parachute. That's it.
That's true.
Literally it. And it's the most free you're ever gonna get in your life.
Yeah.
Doesn't get more free.
That's pretty amazing. And and living the life that you're living, it's not exactly like a simple life. So I would think that there's got to be that, it's got to be deeply satisfying to have a simple decision to make it in a way that you live to tell about it, and move on. That it's got to be almost like an oasis in the midst of, there's so many things.
100%.
That's really cool. All right. Now we covered a little bit about like how you capture the ideas. That's, so I've heard some people will, they're voice recording. That's great. You can get it transcribed or whatever. People carry a pad with them. Is it hard? I mean, yeah, deciphering what you said, but have there been times where you've lost what it was that you said, or times where you're like, oh my gosh, this is the best idea I've ever come up with?
I used to believe that, things I hit in the middle of the night, I'd remember, and I found that to be an blazing lie. So I always try to write everything down. I mean, and they're not the most, a lot of times when you're high on dopamine after a run, I finish 6 miles in Central Park and I'm done. I'm like high as a kite, and it might sound brilliant and it's not. There have also been times when, I used to collect domain names. I used to drink, and I drink very rarely now, but I used to, go out with friends, whatever, I'd be at a bar, and a few drinks in, I think about this domain name, and I think, oh my God, I gotta go buy this. And I jump on like GoDaddy, I buy this domain name. I wake up next morning with a headache. What does social Velcro mean? I don't know what, and so I've learned.
Or misspelling.
Oh my God. So I've learned to, manage yourself. There's certain times I'll always allow myself the free flow of ideas, but, I know that when I land after skydive and I'm full of dopamine, that's going to change my perspective on things. And so I'm going to take it with a grain of salt, right? I'm not going to go build an entire company in half an hour because I had an idea of the skydive. I'll wait maybe 6 hours and say, okay, do I still feel the same way?
Yeah. That's probably really smart. The middle of the night, yeah, and the post-drunk domain buying for sure. Have there been times where it's like you've got this idea, it seems like it's really good, when that quality of let's say like the thoroughness of the download that you get, you've had a fantastic run or whatever, has it ever been like, is it more like a seed of an idea, or have you had it where it's kind of like boom, 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 oh, okay, this is...
The thing about ADHD is that you get seeds of ideas all the time, and most people tend to create, I guess they come up with the idea and then they spend like 6 months sort of filling the barrel with all the things, possibilities. When you're ADHD, it's sort of like, oh, I had this great idea. Let's start it and see what happens.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right. And so every idea I've ever done, I've literally come up with it, and like 24 hours later, I've given myself the green light to go for it. Source of Sources was built in a day. So it's things like that.
Yeah, that's cool. Have you ever taken the Kolbe test?
No.
Oh, okay. That's interesting. Might be fun for you, KOLBE, but there's one in there. It's more, it's not a personality test, but more like how we take action. So there's a thing called Start, which I would bet money that that's where you're going to come down.
Oh yeah, probably.
Yeah, like by the end of a meeting, you've already, I got this done here. So now, what would a lot of entrepreneurs, they're just discovering maybe that they've got ADHD. This explains some things, what have been some of the best realizations you've made or you've had as far as how this actually turns out to be a superpower for you? What would you tell them?
So when I was growing up in the 70s and 80s, it wasn't, neurodiversity didn't exist, neither did ADHD. What existed was Peter, sit down, you're disrupting the class.
Yeah.
And I took a long time to get over that. It took a long time to realize that I wasn't a mistake and I wasn't broken. Mm-hmm. And so I think that, we live in a society that's very much about fitting in. And I never liked fitting in. I think it's boring. I was never into cliques. I was never one of those people. And so for me, it's always been about knowing that I'm different, but knowing that the way my brain works is actually a benefit as long as I don't listen to the people who are trying to put me down. That doesn't mean not listen to people I care about, but just because I do things differently doesn't mean that I'm wrong. Mm-hmm. And that's been something very interesting to learn and sort of grow with.
Yeah, I would imagine. Have you, so a lot of folks that have ADHD, we kind of, the big problem could be, executive function stuff. So like some of the tasks and all that. Right. I know you have a Megan, or is it?
I do. I have a wonderful assistant, and I strongly encourage everyone who can afford one to get one. And there are assistants you can get overseas that are incredibly cheap and all that. But one of the other things I would suggest is that what can you do to eliminate distraction from your life? I have a very empty desk, right? My desk is my laptop, a Diet Pepsi, a couple of pens, my phone. That's about it. Yeah. Where do you work the best? It might not be your office. Perhaps it's an airplane. Perhaps it's a forest. Perhaps it's whatever. Mm-hmm. Right? Find out where you work from. There, there are times when I need some creativity in my brain. I will leave the apartment. I'll take the dog. We'll go to the dog run. I'll sit in the dog run. And no, we're not going to the dog run. Sorry.
Sorry, Waffle.
And I'll just work from there. Right? Yeah. So it's one of those things, where can you go that takes you into a better zone, a zone of focus.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Do you find it's, so somebody had actually asked me to ask you this, like, do you find is there benefit for you in going different physical locations rather than, I'm always at the dog run or always at the gym or, like how much of that, like, do you purposely choose, I'm going to go do this for this type of thinking or?
Not necessarily. I think the only place I really purposely choose is an airplane for long riding. Other than that, I just tend to go where my brain takes me. Sometimes that might be getting on my scooter and scooting over to the Little Red Lighthouse under the George Washington Bridge because it's cool there. I like it there. And, sitting up against the lighthouse and just imagining that, 150 years ago, this is what guided ships down the Hudson. That opens your brain. Sometimes it's going to just 42nd and 12th on the water. Sometimes I've gotten on the subway. Sometimes I literally just sat on the subway and let the sound of the subway help me focus. Right. It really depends. There's so many different things.
Yeah, that's wild. Do you sleep with a sound of any kind on?
I have a white noise machine, but I have a CPAP, and I also my entire apartment is automated. So the lights, the shades, those are all automatic. So instead of an alarm clock, lights start coming up at 3:30 in the morning for me, and so by 4:15 it's been a sunrise, which wakes you up out of a light REM versus deep REM with the alarm, which is a lot better for your brain. And then the shades start coming up around 4:30, 4:45 as well.
That's
only in my room. I wouldn't do that to anyone else.
Note to house guests: you're getting up early. Oh man, that's wild. That's really cool. And do you have a nighttime routine that helps you to kind of chill out.
One of the things I do, and people think I'm crazy, but I'm usually asleep at around 8:30. My daughter goes to bed around 8, and I'm usually up at 8:30. And everyone's just like, you go to bed at 8:30 and you get up at 4 o'clock. Are you a farmer? I'm like, no, this works for me, right? I've learned at 52, almost 52, I've learned that very few things in my life have ever beneficially happened after, like, say, 10:30 at night.
Yeah.
There are very few things in my life that I've done that have been beneficial.
Yeah.
That have happened at 10:30, 1 in the morning, whatever. I remember I was going for a long run with my best friend. We were training for an Ironman together. The only time we could really do long runs was like start at like 3 in the morning, right, or 2:30 in the morning, and do like 15 miles. And we were banging out 15 miles one time, and I was walking down 42nd to meet him. It must have been like 2:30 in the morning, and I passed this guy and this girl who were clearly coming back from a club. And you could see they were like wasted, and you knew they had to like get up early the next morning, and they were just tired. I just had this sense of like, and I know it's a terrible thing to say, I'm better than you. I was like, I'm awake, I went to bed early, and I'm actually going out to work out now. And look, I don't judge anyone. You do you. I have no problem with that. But it made me realize we all have priorities. Yeah.
No, that's huge. I can't remember who it was, but somebody in my life used to say, nothing good happens after midnight. Like,
exactly.
You get old when you're young, you're like, oh no, wait, I gotta live, gotta live it up, gotta be out doing things. And now like, oh yeah, no. I might say after 9 p.m. as well.
Yeah. But no, I enjoy, I think also I've trained myself I enjoy going to sleep early because I enjoy knowing that I'm gonna wake up and start another day. That's kind of cool too.
That is cool. That's awesome. All right, what do you want to do like long term? I know, it's going to be along the same themes, but is there any dream that you've got that you just haven't like done yet?
I have one continent left I haven't gone to.
Which is?
Antarctica.
Oh.
So I'm working on that. But I love speaking on stage. I've spoken to audiences as big as like 15, 20,000 people, and I love it. I want to do more of that. I really enjoy being on stage. I really enjoy telling my story and helping people. And as long as I can keep getting to do that, I'm pretty happy.
That's pretty cool. And how are you going after that? Like, I mean, writing the books, that's huge because, that's a great excuse to get you on a stage and all that. Are there other strategies that you're working to get more stage time?
I find myself just, I've worked with agents, they all suck. For me, it's just I understand the stories I tell can relate to various audiences, and so I look towards those audiences. And pre-COVID, it was really easy. I'd give a speech, I'd come off stage, 10 people would attack me, give me their cards, or I'd give them my cards, and I'd have 10 new speeches. COVID killed that, so I'm in the process of building it back up. But I enjoy it. I enjoy being on stage and helping people, and so basically, I just talk to everyone.
Yeah.
Anything I could do to continue that.
That's fantastic. And will SOS figure into that at all, do you think? Or
Sure. I mean, the more I build, no question about it.
That's cool. All right. Now, I know there are probably, guys, if you're on here and you want to put a question in the chat, I'm going to try to see it. I've got like 4 screens on a tiny laptop. I may miss you. I don't know, but you can unmute if you want to raise your hand or whatever. But I wanted to ask you, Peter, for people who want to use SOS, like as a business owner, do you have any tips for them to really, get some exposure?
Yeah, I mean, the key is to read the emails the second they come in, because by the time the emails come in, the reporters have gotten, within 10 minutes, the reporter's going to have like 20 queries or 20 responses in their inbox. So have something ready to go and just fill in the appropriate parts, and make sure you're answering what the reporter actually needs. Help the reporter get their source and get the story they need, and they will definitely use you. There's no question about it.
That's fantastic. Speed and then accuracy.
Yeah,
it's not like in college where the professor asks you a question and you're like, I don't know that, but I'm going to answer this. Just
Exactly.
Man, and what drives you overall? What would you say?
Having fun. trying to show my daughter that you can do great things and you can be successful and you can have a good life and a good career and you can still have fun. I think somewhere in school, at least when I was in school, we were taught that having fun and working are two separate things and never the twain shall meet. And I'm desperately trying to reinvent that. I don't believe that's the case. I don't believe it should be the case.
Yeah, I think that's huge. And I think for a lot of entrepreneurs, it takes either something bad happening, or maybe you reach an age. I'm 56. I know turning 50 was a big thing. Like you start to feel like, I don't know if you felt like this. It felt like time was speeding up. It was already going fast, but it went like, oh, here's a whole turbo thing. Did you have that?
The days are long, but the years are short.
My grandfather used to say that all the time.
Yeah.
He lived to 90. Yeah, it is. Have you adjusted anything in your life with that sense?
I try to be more present for my daughter. I try to keep my phone away when I'm with her. I don't always work. Doesn't always succeed, but I try. I see my parents getting older, and
it's hard, isn't it?
Time lost will never be found again, and so I just try not to lose that much time.
Yeah. It's like a gutting thing. Seeing your parents. You said yours are in their 80s. Mine are, dad's 80, mom's 78, and it's the same thing. You're just like, oh, are you doing anything to kind of like, obviously, create so that there's not regret, but is there anything else that you do to kind of, brace yourself, I guess?
It's a quote that I always use from the movie The Thomas Crown Affair. Thomas Crown, Pierce Brosnan, just sold a property or something, a company, and as he signs the documents, the people he sold to, they're goading him, and they go, oh, any regrets, Crown, about the way you played this? And he looks at them and goes, regret, gentlemen, is a waste of time. As is gloating, have you figured out what you're going to tell your board when they realize that you paid $30 million more than anyone else was asking?
Yeah.
And I've always taken that line to heart. It's one of my favorite lines. Life is too short. Go have fun, do your thing. Don't care about what anyone else says. And the only person you should be comparing yourself to is who you were yesterday. And then look, it's not the easiest thing in the world to do, but it is doable. I know that I'm not the Peter Shankman who ran a sub-4 New York City marathon in 2006 is not the same Peter Shankman in 2024 who gets off the couch and goes, ugh. It's a different person, but am I still moving? Am I still doing anything? Yeah, and that's what matters. So, just keep doing it. That's
really cool. All of these realizations must really impact how you parent your daughter. Are there things that you have found that are particularly helpful? One area, so it's two questions basically, but screen time and all that, she's growing up in a whole different world than what we grew up in. You're like one of the first things at AOL. AOL is it's still around, but kind of gone. Like, things are moving fast. How have you adjusted or helped her with that, navigating this kind of weird world?
I try to keep her off screens. It doesn't work. It's not going to work. You can't do it. But I do try to do things with her that don't involve screens as much as possible. We go out, we play outside, we play inside with the dog, whatever. But, am I going to stop her from rewatching Gilmore Girls every night for, 45 minutes from an hour? No, something makes her happy. So cool. Enjoy it, but you just do what you can, and I think that parenting a kid over the last 5 years has been ridiculous. And parenting a kid over the last 5 years in New York City has been ultra ridiculous. So I'm doing the best thing I can. And, the kid seems okay. And as long as she knows I love her, I'm good.
That's huge. That's the biggest thing for sure. Yeah. Tell me, so that people know, where can they find out more? Are you still running Shank Minds as well?
So yeah, Shank Minds is still running. We take the summer on hiatus. We only have one meeting a week during the summer, but it's an mastermind group. You can find more at shankminds.com. My life is at shankman.com. Shankman.com. What else? I have, I'm on all the socials except everything except Twitter. Because Twitter is a cesspool and I just can't.
Okay. I'm in the middle of a meeting right now. Can this
wait?
Luke, hey.
But so yeah, I'm everywhere except for Twitter. You can find me at Peter Shankman everywhere. And petershankman.com is my email, and I'm always happy to chat.
Yeah, that's great. I have so appreciated. I didn't realize it has been that long. So it was before you actually ran the Ironman or anything. Like, it's been a while. I've been on your list, and we've, corresponded a little bit now and then. And I've been always like, he actually answered. This is so kind. Like, you just are one of the kindest, most thoughtful. Like, I love what you're doing. The fact that you've devoted so much of your life and your energy to helping people with ADHD realize not broken, just wired differently. This is actually a superpower. All of that. I mean, it's been really impressive just watching what you're doing. And I wanted to thank you so much for being here. This is not the 20,000 person stage of it, but
I'm happy to do it.
Really, really cool. So thank you so much. Any parting words for people?
I always had a great quote that says, if you don't like where you are, move. If you're not a tree. I'll stick with that.
That's a pretty good one. I love that. Well, speaking of trees, so I'm at Idlewild Woods. This is where my husband and I are homesteading. We're building an entrepreneur retreat center.
Nice.
Actually going to get the permit for the first guest accommodations today. And we've got a pillow with your name on it and your daughter. So when we're ready, you have a standing invitation to come and chill out. Just
Love
down
it.
into the sea.
Love
Hit down 95 and turn right. So,
Awesome.
thank you so much, Peter. Really appreciate it.
My pleasure. You guys take care.
Take care.